to celebrate the Verplank Coast Guard Auxiliary's 75th anniversary. To lead us off, our former Marine and one of the vets, perhaps the only vet at this point on the board, James Marzano, our Vice Chairman, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of contemplative silence for our great country, its citizens, and those serving it around the world. Thank you. Please be seated. So it's only apropos that we are talking about the Coast Guard Auxiliary as we are surrounded by water all around us this evening. And we welcome our guests from the Verplank Flotilla of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. I learned about flotilla and divisions. And we are learning about the Coast Guard Auxiliary this evening, the wonderful role and the volunteerism that is so spectacular. Congratulations on your 15th anniversary in Verplank and the 75th anniversary nationally from 1939. We are honored to have you here with us this evening. We thank you for your service, past, present, and future. We pray for your safety while you are working hard to keep us all safe and well. I would now like to invite legislators Borgia and Testa, our Majority Leader and Minority Leader respectively, to present a proclamation.
So we're so honored to have you with us here today. We know that what makes our nation great, what keeps us strong, is the dedicated service of volunteers such as yourselves. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is turning 75 this year, and we know that for all those years, you have helped to keep us safe. You have helped to keep our waterways safe. You have helped boaters and people enjoying the waters in our area for many, many years. And it's really our privilege and our honor to have you here with us. And we're so glad that we're getting to kick off this celebration here in Westchester County at our July board meeting. Verplank is part of the town of Cortland, and it's very ably represented by Legislator John Testa, so I'm going to turn it over and ask him to say a few words as well.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is an honor to be able to recognize the Coast Guard today. I want to thank you, first of all, for your service. This is all volunteer force, by the way, out there every day, making sure that our waterways are safe. The hamlet of Verplank is a beautiful place in itself. It's a very historic place. Actually, it's one of the most narrowest areas of the Hudson. If you ever went to Verplank's Point, you would see why it was such an important part of the Revolutionary War history that we have. I don't want to get into a history lesson today, but it is a very important place. If you know the John Andre story, you will know why that is an important place in our history. And to have these men and women out there day in and day out in a very important part of our Hudson Riverway in Westchester County. A lot of boaters in Verplank, Peekskill, Cortland area. There are yacht clubs. There are boating yards all along that area. And it's very, very important that we have the safety aspect. And since actually when World War II came around is when the Coast Guard really got involved with the safety, not only of our country, but of our area, our coastline here in the United States. So again, thank you so much for everything you do. And we want to present you with this proclamation on behalf of all of us here at the Westchester County Board of Legislators.
So we have a lot of
Thank you.
the whereases that we already discussed, in particular, the idea that your group particularly got together because you knew you had a lot of dedicated boaters in the area of the Hudson. We're so fortunate, those of us who live along the Hudson side of our county, to have opportunities to use our beautiful river, but we know there's also risks involved, and so we need to have experts such as yourselves there to help us, to guide us, to teach us. I know that you sponsor a lot of boating safety classes and other kinds of safety classes, and we're definitely able to enjoy our waterways as a result of your excellent work. So lots of whereases, but then resolved that the members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators join with their colleagues Catherine Borgia and John Testa as we congratulate the Westchester Putnam Division 6, First Coast Guard District, United States, and resolve that the text of this proclamation be carried throughout Westchester and as we proclaim July 15th, 2014, the Westchester Putnam Division Day in the County of Westchester. So thank you very much.
Deputy Commander Elmendorf, you want to say a
Yep.
few words?
Sure.
Well, we're very honored by this, and all our members are. Coast Guard Auxiliary in Westchester County alone has over 200 members. We stretch from the Long Island Sound all the way up and down the Hudson River and everything in between. The important thing about our members is that we are the civilian component of the United States Coast Guard. The only thing we don't do is law enforcement. But we do work with the Westchester County Police very closely when we're doing patrols on the Hudson River and on the Long Island Sound. So our mission is to provide information to get out to people, such as the new Tappan Zee Bridge, making sure that people remain safe and they understand what the zones are. Our mission is to go out there and teach young boaters and old boaters and in-between boaters on how to maintain safety on the water. We are dedicated to recreational boating safety. That's everything from whatever floats to the biggest boats you've got. And we're very proud and we're very honored. We have some of our membership with us. And if it wasn't for fine members like we have here today and the other 200 plus that we have in our division, we couldn't accomplish our mission. Thank you very much.
It's on the county center, the Jumbotron. Yeah. Take a picture. Call this meeting of Monday, July 14, 2014 to order. At this point, would Legislator Shimsky lead us the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand for a moment of contemplative silence for our great country, its citizens, and those serving it around the world. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Here.
Here.
Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Harkam.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yeah.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Perez. Here. Ms. Shimsky.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Excellent. At this point, call for motion on the consent agenda. Majority Leader Borgia.
Thank you. I'd like to move the consent agenda with the following changes. On page 3, item number 1, ID number 7322, replace the Infrastructure Committee with the Parks, Housing, Labor Committee. Second, with the second item on that page, number 7317. Number 4 on that page, add the Community Services Committee. Yeah, number 1 and 2, 7322, 7317, replace infrastructure with parks. Thank you. And on 7314, add the Community Services Committee. Next page, page 4, the first item, 7331, take out all those committees and instead E&E and legislation. The next page, page number 5, the first item, 7321, take out the Infrastructure Committee, put in the Parks Committee. On page 7, page 6, we're going to sever from the County Attorney 7269, sever that item. On the next page, page 7, item number 7273, the first full item on the page, add the Environment Committee. Next page, the number 12 on page 8, 7280, add the Environment Committee. On page 10, number 20, ID number 7290, we'd like to add legislators L. Williams, Kaplowitz, Parker, Boykin, Harkam, Shimsky, and Jenkins. And I believe that is, oh, no, I'm sorry. In the item, well, this is actually not on the consent, but on the item on page 16, there's an error on item number 7061, which is the LG corporate tower. We amended that in committee, instead of saying 8 feet to read 8-story to read 143 feet. Also on that page, item number 7197, number 11, the Charter Commission Review Task Force should be deleted from that since only legislative committees submit legislation. And I think that is it.
Mr. Testa. Okay. Mr. Mazzano? All right. With no objections, then the consent agenda moved, so ordered. Yes. Yes, we have. That was for purposes of all items except for the one item that was severed, right? That was item number, is that page 6, B1, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And that is severed,
Severed.
and is that long roll call on sever? Or is that going to be,
Severed and over, right?
and overed as well? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
excuse me.
Severed and overed. Got
Severed
it.
and over,
Okay.
excuse me.
All righty, excellent. So at this point, let's do minutes approval. Legislator Borgia.
Thank you. I'd like to move the minutes of the Monday, June 23rd, 7 PM meeting.
All right, Mr. Testa? And Mr. Marzano? Okay, no objections, minutes approved, so ordered. And it's a little too early for, actually, let's go right to public comment. We have plenty of time for that. Madam Clerk?
Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes. I'll ask that speakers please come down the aisle to my left behind the black ropes. I have one card, Deirdre Curran.
This is starting to get embarrassing that I have nothing better to do every other Monday night than be here. I didn't make the committee meeting this morning, but I watched it on TV. So my understanding is that last week, the committee asked the county executive's office to get information from the marketing firm to decide if an extra $200,000 at this point in the season would be worth doing to try and help Playland out for the rest of the summer. And it sounds like, I haven't seen the email, but it sounds like they got an email back from Mr. Oro saying, we're not even going to give you the information and let you figure it out. It's beyond ridiculous. I think it is a little late in the season to try and give the park any more marketing money, but I certainly think it would have been worth a try. And I think that they probably could have, if they had it this week, done enough to at least recoup the money and maybe made people aware. There are a lot of people that think the park is closed still. The park needs help. I don't know why the county executive just won't do anything to help that park. It baffles all of us. My guess is that the legislators are going to lose this battle. It's probably going to carry on beyond Labor Day, and it's pointless at this point. I certainly hope that everybody gets in line and gives that park more money for the marketing budget for next year. Even if you doubled what they get now, it would be at about half of what the master plan recommended that park have for a marketing budget 8 years ago. It would be half. If you doubled what they have now, it would still be half of what the park should have. Less than half of what the park should have. I hope that the legislators on both sides of the aisle will get working on it as quickly as possible to make sure that for next year's budget for Playland, there is substantially more money in the marketing budget. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're working on a marketing budget that's almost 30 years old. Legislator Harcum said 20. It's 26 years old. 26 years since they've added any money to that marketing budget. Who in this room could run a business on the same marketing budget you had 26 years ago? Of course the park's not doing well. Half the people in the county think it's closed. Please, I'm not worried about the people on this side of the aisle anymore. I'm talking to all of you. Please, get through to this guy up on the 9th floor. Somebody, please talk some sense into him. That park is going to go down the tubes. They can't fix things that they need to fix. They can't get anything appropriated, and they don't have any marketing budget. It's disgraceful that he's being allowed to hold that park's head under the water the way that he's doing. I am begging you people. He can spend $80,000 like that to hire Dan Biederman to come in and tell him he needs to up his marketing budget. Just up the marketing budget. It's not that complicated. Just do it, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other cards.
Okay, seeing no other cards at this point, motion to close public comment, and actually I can close it myself, so we will close public comment at this point. Let's move on, since it's not yet 7:30, let's move on to the unfinished business portion of the agenda.
Item number 6922 was held over from the June 23rd, 2014 regular meeting, appears here as an item of unfinished business for action from the Committee on Community Services, an act to designate the Westchester County Historical Society as the Westchester County Historian.
Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As indicated, this is an act to make the Westchester County Historical Society the historian for the county. This is a renewal act which is originally done by, I believe, County Executive O'Rourke way back when. It was legitimized much more recently. The County Record Center acts as the residential area for not only the Record Center, but also the Historical Society. They've been doing yeoman's job in both categories, and I believe that this is an economical and prudent way to proceed. So, so moved.
Excellent. Legislators, any comments, thoughts, discussion on this item? Seeing none, let's take a long roll call vote, please.
Ms. Borgia?
Yes.
Mr. Testa? Yes. Mr. Boykin?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows? Yes. Mr. Gelfarb? Mr. Harkam?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? Ms. Marcotte? Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Ms. Shimsky?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Approved 17-0. Item 7109 was also held over from the June 23rd, 2014 regular meeting. Appears here as an item of unfinished business for action from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations and Labor, Parks, Planning, and Housing. An act amending Act Number 26, 1952 as amended, which amended Act Number 40, 1941, entitled An Act Establishing Personnel Rules in Westchester County and Adopting Clarification of Positions and Schedules of Pay.
Mr. Harkam, you have an amendment, I believe?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on conversations with the leadership of the board and both caucuses, I'm amending Section 2 of this act by deleting the position of Administrative Aide, DSS, in Job Group 10, and the revised version is on everybody's desk.
All righty. Ms. Markup? Are you accepting of the amendment?
Yes, we accept the amendment. Thank you.
Excellent. And comments at this time?
For budget, so moved. Thank you.
Mr. Harkam?
And for Parks, Labor, Housing, and Planning, so moved. It's essentially adding 2 spots in the county executive's office and adding a Department of Emergency Services coordinator akin to the battalion commanders we have in DES for fire. This is for emergency medical first responders.
Excellent. Any comments, thoughts, legislators? Ms. Shimsky?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just want to explain my vote tonight. We definitely need the emergency services personnel. That department has been decimated by layoffs. Would have been worse decimated with some of the attempted layoffs the last several years. I'm all in favor of that. But this, even as amended, and I commend the chairman, Chairman Harkam, and Chairwoman Marcotte on removing what I believe was the most expensive addition to the pay plan. But the 2 new positions in the county executive's office, we are not talking about removing positions that already exist. We're talking about adding brand new additions to the county executive's office, which will total with benefits probably a couple $100,000 a year, when the last few years we have decimated skilled departments of this county, and the condition of this county's infrastructure and this county's government has been adversely affected by those moves. To take that kind of money and create what are essentially political positions in the county executive's office, I appreciate the work that's been done on this, but I just can't do it, and therefore I'll be voting no tonight.
Okay. Colleagues? Any other comments, suggestions, thoughts? Otherwise, Seeing none, why don't we take, let's take a long roll call on this.
Ms. Borgia,
Yes.
Mr. Testa,
Yes.
Mr. Boykin,
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Harkam,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
No.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte,
Aye.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Ms. Shimsky,
Nay.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
No.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 14-3.
Sorry.
What's up? Yeah, let's go to stand committee, sir. We still have a few minutes.
Under standing committees. Item 6943 from the Committees on Infrastructure and Environment and Energy, an act authorizing the approval of the Stormwater Reconnaissance Plan for the Bronx River dated April 2013, prepared by the County Commissioner of Planning in compliance with the Article 3-A County Stormwater Management Law.
Okay. And let me get to that. And we have Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the third of our stormwater reconnaissance plans to come to this board for approval. For those of you listening at home who may not have heard what was discussed at the last couple meetings, each of these plans essentially lays out and lists the flood-prone areas in each of our 7 river basins in this county. As I said, this is the third plan to come before us. This plan, if a municipality has a flood-prone area listed in it, it can apply to the county for matching funds to help with flood remediation projects. This particular plan includes many of the same features as the other plans, including making the case for a basin-wide stormwater remediation strategy and emphasizing the need for a new system of stream and storm gauges so we can track how stormwater affects all of the communities along the river. This particular river is perhaps should be more important to us because the Bronx River is the riverbed that we, Westchester County, is actually responsible for. We passed a plan for the Sawmill River, which is mostly state property. We've also been working on plans for Long Island Sound. But the Bronx River is county controlled. There is a lot of work that needs to be done. That river is our responsibility. We need to move forward not just on local grants, but on a number of other fronts, including cleaning out debris dams and logs that are causing backups and localized flooding along the river. We also need to broach the issue of where small amounts of dredging in particular areas may help certain neighborhoods along the river which have been hit very hard by flooding since the 2007 nor'easter. But this particular plan will make the communities along the Bronx River potentially eligible for funding. I urge my colleagues to support it tonight and remind them that there is much more work to be done on this river, and I look forward to working with all my colleagues and the 9th floor to make sure that that work gets done. Thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Harkam, Environment and Energy. I'm sorry, Ms. Parker. That was a shot from the...
That was a while ago.
Yes, that was.
Deja vu all over again.
An oldie but a goodie. Ms. Parker. Excellent. Any comments from any colleagues? Let's do a long roll call, please.
Ms. Borgia,
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin,
Yes.
Mr. Burrows, Mr. Gelfarb, Mr. Harkam,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano, Ms. Marcotte, Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Ms. Shimsky,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 17-0.
Madam Clerk, I note that it is 7:30 plus. Why don't we at this point suspend the regular order of business to entertain our public hearings this evening? I call on Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we suspend the regular order of business for the purposes of conducting 2 public hearings today.
Notice of tonight's public hearings were published in the Journal News. I have proof of publication, which is available for inspection in my office. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes. The first public hearing is from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, Environment and Energy, and Infrastructure on the proposed modification to the Peekskill Sanitary Sewer District by the addition of 1 parcel of property located in the town of Yorktown. Mr. Chairman, I have no cards.
Okay.
I'd like to move that this public hearing be closed.
So ordered.
Second public hearing is from the Committee on Legislation and the Charter Commission Review Task Force on a proposed local law adding a new section 194.311 to the laws of Westchester County, establishing a Westchester County Charter Revision Commission. Mr. Chairman, I have no cards.
I'd like to move that this public hearing be closed.
And so ordered.
Back to standing committees. Item 6956 from the Committee on Appointments is a resolution appointing Ann Cutter as the Area 7 member of the Westchester County Citizens Advisory Council for the term January 1, 2014 to December 31, 2015.
Mr. Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since this is an appointment, I amend the term of this service to July 14, 2014 to December 31, 2015.
Okay. As amended, any comments, questions? Thoughts from legislators? Seeing none, let's do a long roll call.
Ms. Borgia,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin,
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Yes. Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Harkam,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 17-0. Item 6957 from the Committee on Appointments is a resolution appointing Judith Reardon as an at-large member of the Westchester County Housing Opportunity Commission to serve at the pleasure of the county executive.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since this is an appointment, I amend the term of service to begin July 14, 2014.
So noted. Colleagues, any comments, questions? Otherwise, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 6958 from the Committee on Appointments is a resolution appointing James D. Maria as a master plumber member of the Westchester County Board of Plumbing Examiners for the term January 1, 2014 to December 31, 2018.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since this is an appointment, I amend the term of service to begin July 14, 2014 to December 31, 2018.
All righty, colleagues. Without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call, and so ordered.
Approves 17-0. Item 7185 from the Committee on Appointments is a resolution reappointing Peter Miley as a member of the Westchester County Fire Advisory Board for the term January 1, 2014 to December 31, 2014.
Mr. Boykin.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Unless there's objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7186 from the Committee on Appointments is a resolution reappointing Thomas Kane as a member of the Westchester County Fire Advisory Board for the term January 1, 2014 to December 31, 2014.
Mr. Boykin.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7261 from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations is a resolution suspending certain rules of the Board of Legislators solely with regard to the proposed 2014-2015 Westchester Community College budget.
Ms. Markup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So moved on this item for budget appropriations.
Excellent. Colleagues, questions, thoughts? Otherwise, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7262 from the Committee on Budget and Appropriations is a resolution setting the public hearing rules for the conduct of the public hearing on the proposed 2014-15 Westchester Community College budget.
Ms. Markup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As previously stated, so moved for budget.
And colleagues, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. From the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, a resolution to set a public hearing on the proposed 2014-15 Westchester Community College budget.
Ms. Markup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So moved and setting the hearing date for August 4th at 10:30.
And reminder that August 4th at 10 a.m. is the beginning of our one of our 2 daytime meetings.
Correct.
And the public hearing called for then at 10:30 a.m. Any colleague thoughts, questions? Otherwise, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7180 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations, Infrastructure and Environment and Energy, an act to modify the Peekskill Sanitary Sewer District by the addition of one parcel of property located in the town of Yorktown.
Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you. So moved for budget, and I will turn this over to infrastructure.
Shimsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Normally, we do these minor adjustments of our sewer districts in the other direction where we take out a parcel or two that has not been served by the sewer system. Here we are actually adding someone, which will increase by a tiny bit the revenue to the district, and it will also expand our sewer system. So we welcome 3706 Meadow Lane aboard.
Excellent. As a legislator, one of the 2 legislators with this test for Yorktown, we thank you for future opportunity there. And Ms. Parker, Environment and Energy.
Yes, so moved for Environment and Energy.
Excellent. From the requisite committees, colleagues, any other thoughts, questions, comments? Otherwise, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7197 from the Committee on Legislation is a local law adding a new section 194.311 to the laws of Westchester County, establishing a Westchester County Charter Revision Commission.
The first of hopefully many to come, Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was discussed at length in committee, and what it is establishing a Westchester County Charter Revision Commission every 10 years. The law will direct that such as the senior review be conducted by a 23-member commission, which will be composed of members being appointed by the county executive and the Board of Legislators. So moved.
Excellent. Colleagues, any questions, thoughts? I want to thank Mr. Burrows. I want to thank Zirkerman. I want to thank Mr. Wishney. And more importantly, I want to thank each and every one of you, the chairs of the respective committees, for taking the County Charter Revision Commission 16 recommendations and others and acting upon them, taking them very seriously. And this is a process which we have been engaged in. This is the first to come to this point. Again, hopefully many more to come. But we in county government, it cannot be said, don't recognize good work when we see it and take seriously the recommendations of this citizen commission in giving us these good government directed type recommendations. And so we have one this evening, and Mr. Burrows want to...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to just echo your sentiments and thank all of the members for really participating in this. I want to give credit also to Richard Winsey, who has the committee with me. And finally, let's not forget, and those people who have been here before, really we have to give credit to former legislator Bill Ryan, who was the one who initiated the idea, initially ran with it, and we were just fortunate to follow up with it.
Excellent, well said. Any other colleagues on this item before us? Otherwise, we'll take the previous long roll call. Ms. Jenkins, you Mercury-like back, and without objection, so ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7233 from the Committees on Budget and Appropriations, Labor, Parks, Planning and Housing, and Economic Development and Capital Projects. An amended bond act authorizing the issuance of up to $1,385,000 in bonds of the county to finance capital project RCC 10 County Center site work.
Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was fully vetted in the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I'm happy to move it and turn it over to my colleague in Capital Projects.
Mr. Smith.
As discussed and approved in the Economic Development Committee, we move on to Labor and Parks. Thank you.
And Mr. Harkin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is started out as a standard masonry and site work bond. Over the course of the winter, the Parks Department noted a severe deterioration in our ramp for the disabled that was quite serious and needed repair. So the Bond Act was altered slightly and the design was accelerated so that this summer the repairs can be made on the ramp for the disabled folks. There will be temporary access in the back of the building while this construction is done in a timely way to get ready for the fall season. And then the rest is sidewalk, the back parking lot, the sidewalks, and adjacent masonry. So moved, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Colleagues? Seeing none, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7061 from the Committee on Environment and Energy is a resolution in opposition to LG Electronics' proposed 143-foot corporate tower on the bluffs of the Palisades.
Ms. Parker.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Legislator Peter Harcum for bringing this to my committee. This is a very important resolution before you. For the river towns of Westchester, the Palisades are a very meaningful part of their viewshed. And for all Westchester County residents who treasure our historical landmarks and groups such as the Hastings Historical Society and the Preservation League of New York State, the historical landmark of the Palisades actually evokes images of General Washington and the Revolutionary War. And the Palisades are really part of our heritage. And heritage is important to honor and to value. For Westchester residents that value natural wonders and beauty that can be shared with children and grandchildren, the coalition members of Protect the Palisades, Riverkeeper, Sierra Club, the Environmental Defense Fund, Hudson River, Sloop Clearwater, the Palisades must be protected. Since we are one unified county of Westchester, we should act to protect our viewshed, our heritage. And okay, it is New Jersey's natural wonder, but we in Westchester County enjoy that. So this is one instance that though it is not our domain to legislate, it is our responsibility to add our voice to a growing number of elected officials from both New York and New Jersey, Democrat and Republican, citizens and organizations that are all calling for one thing. Please oppose the LG Electronics plan to build a 143-foot tall building less than 100 yards from the Palisades Interstate Park and urge LG Electronics to redesign the project and implement the alternative low-rise design proposed. We really are not suggesting anything out of the ordinary. We are suggesting that LG work with their neighbors, that they listen to our concerns, and they go back to the drawing board. They've been there for 25 years. They have plans to be there for 100 more, and I ask your support. Thank you.
Colleagues, Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to thank Chairwoman Parker for, first of all, her very eloquent introduction, and second, for taking this up and her passion. And it's kind of interesting because she's from the Sound Shore, can't see the Hudson River from her district. I'm from Northeast Westchester, can't see the Hudson from my district. Legislator Jenkins says I can see Canada from my district, but I can't see the Hudson River, and a lot of us can't. But why should we care about the Hudson Valley viewshed? And as Legislator Parker said, that is part of our heritage. And as you look from Manhattan all the way up to parts of Putnam County, and you look at the Palisades, it looks exactly the same as when Henry Hudson first discovered the Hudson River. This is as iconic as parts of the Grand Canyon, the Sequoia National Forest. This is a part of American identity that we need to protect and we need to lend our voice to. Yes, we do not live in New Jersey, but we live in the Hudson Valley, and the Hudson Valley is cherished by tens of millions of people, and we are the voice for 1 million of those people. And as Legislator Parker said, we're not trying to legislate in New Jersey. We're not trying to alter zoning. What we're trying to do is just lend our voice that says, when it comes to our national treasures, we need to tread lightly. And that's what the people of Westchester, and certainly the people of my district, are telling me, is to ask them to tread lightly. And to her credit, colleagues asked to have LG come in, and LG came in. And one of the things they said was they were in settlement talks at one point to reduce the size of the building. We said, well, how low were you going to go? And very oddly, they said, we can't tell you. So even they are prepared to build a lower structure, and they can build a lower structure. And we're not telling them not to build there. We're not telling them not to thrive. We love their jobs. We love their commerce. We love their innovation. We love their products. But what we're saying is be a responsible member of the community. Listen to what your neighbors are saying. Listen to what a coalition of 42 civic, neighborhood, and environmental groups are saying. Listen to what 4 past governors of New Jersey, both Republicans and Democrats, are saying. And all we're saying is be a responsible citizen and build a lower building, and we can keep and cherish a view for generations to come that we've enjoyed for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I thank colleagues. I also want to thank Legislator Shimsky and her team, who did a tremendous amount of work on this. I hope colleagues will support. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Shimsky.
Thank you very much. Since the Sound Shore and the Northern Tier have been speaking up on behalf of the Hudson River, I thought someone who actually represents the area should probably say something. My constituents care about this a great deal. If there's an iconic poster of the Village of Hastings on Hudson, which a lot of my neighbors have in their homes, and that iconic poster is a photograph of the Palisades. The park may physically be across the river from us, but it is as much of our identity, it is as much of our open space, it's as much of our historic and natural heritage as if it were sitting just next to us. And especially when you consider the nearly universal outcry, the bipartisan outcry, the outcry from all kinds of government and civic groups on this, I would urge my colleagues to join in and ask LG to come up with an alternative that would be better for all of the residents of the Hudson Valley. Thank you.
Colleagues? Questions, thoughts? Otherwise, we'll take the previous long roll call. With that. Mr. Smith, I forgive it. Okay. Without objection, so ordered.
Approved 17-0.
No.
Long roll call. Want to request a look? Thank you. Take a long roll call.
Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows.
Yes.
Mr. Gelfard. Mr. Harkam.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte.
Nay.
Ms. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
No.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 15-2. Items 7224, From the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Community Services is an act authorizing the county to enter into an agreement with the Westchester County Healthcare Corporation for a term commencing June 1, 2014 through May 31, 2019 for the provision of post-exposure evaluation and follow-up medical services to employees of the Department of Health for potential exposure to bloodborne pathogens.
Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So moved for Budget and Appropriations. This was discussed in committee today, and I'm happy to turn this over to Legislator Williams.
Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This act calls for a contract with the medical center to provide these services for a 5-year period commencing on June 1st, 2014 through May 31st, 2019 in an amount not to exceed $12,500. It's interesting to note that these services have been provided for since 1999, and we have never had to make use of them. So I think that's a very good thing, and so moved, Mr. Chair.
Colleagues, on this item, let's take a long roll call.
Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Yes. Mr. Gelfarb.
Aye.
Mr. Harkam.
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins. Yes. Mr. Mazzano. Yes. Ms. Marcotte.
Aye.
Ms. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 17-0. Item 7266 from the Committees on Economic Development and Capital Projects and Legislation, a resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the laws of Westchester County in relation to the factors to be considered by the Capital Projects Committee in evaluating the feasibility of proposed capital projects.
Ms. Perez. We'll call that for August. It's just a setting of the public hearing. August 4th, perhaps? 10:30 a.m. And Mr. Smith?
This is a public hearing to address the second element in the charter revision. It will deal with resiliency and sustainability as additional components for evaluation in the evaluation of capital projects. So with that, we discussed and so approved.
And concur on the setting of the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
At that time. On the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on normal procedure and process, since it is our only day meeting, I know that usually we have our public hearings in the evening to give the members of the public the opportunity. I know that we have our community college at that night, but again, we've been very consistent in making sure that public hearings are held in evening times.
Certainly take that as a suggestion. We've plenty of times have had public hearings in the morning. In fact, we have the college public hearing set then, and we've heard from the public in the past that there's some who can't make evening meetings that want to come during the day, and vice versa. So I think but I appreciate certainly the sentiment, and we have an item before us. Colleagues, any other comment or suggestion? We have before us then call for August 4th, 2014 at 10:30 a.m. Any other questions at this point? I'll take a long roll call.
Ms. Borgia.
Yes.
Mr. Testa.
Yes.
Mr. Boykin.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Gelfarb. Mr. Harkam.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte.
Aye.
Ms. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Ms. Shimsky.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Approved 17-0. Item 7221 from the Committees on Infrastructure, Environment and Energy, and Budget Appropriations, a resolution setting a public hearing.
Over.
Over Mr. Jenkins. Item 7225 from the Committees on Budget Appropriation and Public Safety, an act authorizing the county to renew an intermunicipal agreement with the North Salem Central School District, whereby the county will assign a uniformed police officer to act as a school resource officer at the district's middle, high school, and Pequannock Elementary School for a 5-year term.
Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to move this for budget. This was discussed in committee this morning, and I'd like to turn this over to my colleague, Legislator Gelfarb.
Mr. Gelfarb. Excellent. Colleagues, we have Mr. Harcum, and then Mr. Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am delighted to support this legislation. I'm glad to hear our legislator Gelfarb talked about how great it has been that this process of actually having the schools actually use the county police as a school resource officer, that the program is going great. I recalled, and I know my colleague legislator Testa will attest to this, but I know that we had this great debate when this began a few years ago, and as to whether or not the county should just look at one particular situation versus opening it up so that all of these different school districts might have the opportunity to have a school resource officers. And I'm glad that as a board that we decided to go in the route of opening it up so that now we are seeing what's coming to fruition is a number of school districts now are participating. And I believe that we haven't polled it yet in terms of the success rate, but I'm sure that at one point the Public Safety Committee will call in the Department of Public Safety to get a report on how these programs are working. I would venture to believe that it's working very good because we're seeing more and more school districts, smaller school districts, coming on. I believe when this issue was first raised, the concern was that the county officers might not be able to handle larger districts like Yonkers and Mount Vernon and some others. And our view was, at least I know that some of us, our view was that we understand that, but smaller districts that don't have a full range of police personnel would really benefit from this. And I think we're seeing that now. And it's a great thing. I want to congratulate the chair of the committee because I believe that we need to keep focus on those pieces of legislation that we actually enhance as a board. It's important to see that we can see they're coming to great service to the residents of Westchester County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly, I'd like to thank Chairman Gelfarb, Chairwoman Marcotte for expediting this and the thorough review in their committees. Also want to say I think Legislator Williams is being a bit modest when he said we considered expanding this to other school districts was your idea, and it was a good one because it has enabled districts like Somers, as we'll hear, and North Salem, smaller districts that used to have officers that could no longer afford a full-time officer, can find a cost-effective solution by coming to county government, the regional government, and our regional police force, which was designed to provide supports to local municipalities. So I can say in North Salem, and I'm sure in the next one you will comment on Somers, that this program is very successful, it's cost-effective, it's good for safety, and it's good for our kids. Thank you.
Excellent. Colleagues, any other additional comment? At this point, let's take the long roll call, right? Without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7228 from the Committees on Budget Appropriations and Public Safety, an act authorizing the county to renew an intermunicipal agreement with the Somers Central School District, whereby the county will assign 2 uniformed police officers to act as school resource officers for a 5-year term.
Ms. Markup.
Thank you. For budget, I'm happy to move this, and as previously discussed, I'll turn it over to Legislator Gelfarb.
Gelfarb.
drug abuse prevention and safety, and overall serving as a good role model for students. Thank you, Conrad. In addition, the SROs will work to address crime and disorder problems, will work in anti-gang measures, work in anti-drug measures, including teaching the students the value of not engaging in harmful and dangerous behaviors. With that said, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Colleagues, any thoughts? Mr. Gelfarb, I think we're going to have to go back 1 by North Salem, 2 by Somers, but appreciate your work. And Ms. Marcotte, and as one of the 2 legislators representing Somers, I certainly thank colleagues for, and Mr. Williams for the etymology of the approval this evening. It's working out well from a Somers Central School District standpoint, and it needs to be pointed out, as we discussed in committee, and we understand on the floor, that this is being done and being paid for by the requisite school districts in this case. It's not a free service. It's being paid for, and with appropriate cost escalators as well as reflecting contractual obligations. At this point, colleagues, seeing no comment, we'll take the previous long roll call, and so ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7309 from the Committees on Labor, Parks, Planning, and Housing, and Budget and Appropriations, a resolution approving the use of $440,000 from the county's Acquisition and Rehabilitation Revolving Loan Fund Program under Capital Project BPL 50 towards the acquisition and rehabilitation of an existing single-family residence at 602 Route 22 in the town of North Salem, in order to create 1 affordable ownership unit and 1 affordable rental unit that will both affirmatively further fair housing.
Ms. Marcotte.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was fully vetted in not 1, but 2 committees this morning. I'm happy to move this for budget and turn it over to Legislator Harcum.
Mr. Harcum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular item involves a 2-unit ownership with an accessory apartment to support the mortgage. It's a first-time home ownership opportunity, which of course is the American dream. This comes out of BPL 50. We set up a revolving loan fund working with the administration for a portion of BPL 50. And that loan fund was its own capital expenditure, but we as a board wanted to maintain control of the spending on individual projects, and I thank you, sir, for working with Mr. Plunkett to see that that system was adhered to, and thank you and Mr. Plunkett for your hard work in the timeliness of getting this to us. So now we have this before us. This is a resolution. This actually is a model that works very well. We have one of these in Katona. We have one in Pleasantville. And it's a beautiful way to encourage home ownership and have an apartment to support the mortgage at the same time. So moved.
Excellent. Colleagues, this is in the scoreboard of 2009 settlement. We can tick off 2 more affirmative AFFH housing. At this point, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call. So ordered.
Approved 17-0. Item 7310 from the Committee on Rules is an act for the purpose of establishing a standard workday for each elective or appointive office or position.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After an extremely brief Rules Committee, we set the standard workday for elected and appointed officers in Westchester County as per our regular habit for purposes of the retirement system.
And Mr. Testa is co-chair of the Rules Committee? Concur, okay. May we bottle that for the future, sir? Colleagues, any questions, thoughts on this? This is administratively necessary each session. At this point, seeing no objection, without objection, we'll take the previous long roll call, and so ordered.
Approved 17-0. Motions, resolutions, call of the districts.
Mr. Testa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, I have a number of names to add to the memorial resolutions tonight. Robert Agor, Floyd Porter, Ray Lutomsky, and unfortunately 2 friends of mine. One, Daisy Brand, the mother of a former student of mine, Elton Brand, NBA player. Wonderful woman who raised a wonderful son and gave back to the community so much from the time that he was a youngster all the way to the even present day. She had a foundation in town to help student athletes after school, and she'll really be missed in our community of Peekskill. And unfortunately, another friend of mine I have to add tonight is Officer Christopher Vazios. You might have seen in the news recently, who took his own life late last week. So it's a bittersweet night to mention friends, but in this way, but they're good people that we need to keep in mind that were part of our community, and I'm sorry to have to add them to the resolutions tonight.
Of course.
If Mr. Chester is okay, I would like to be added to the last resolution, please.
Ms. Breckman?
I'd like to add Paul Sauer.
Okay. Colleagues? Mr. Jenkins?
And certainly, I'm going to join Ms. Breckman on that.
Okay. Any other colleagues? This time, why don't we stand for a moment of silence, in remembrance of those on our memorial resolution. Thank you. Ms. Borgia, accept a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I move that we adjourn, reconvene at our regularly scheduled meeting on August 4th, 2014 at 10 a.m.
Mr. Testa? Short roll call?
Ms. Borgia?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? Yes. Mr. Chairman?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks. Sorry. Let's start again.
It was so funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry.